Well, what's going on, everybody? Messed up that transition, didn't I? Thanks for joining. Definitely join the chat over at the over down at the chat. Let me know that you're here. I am just getting over a cold, but I am feeling a little bit better. Feeling good. Been super busy with work, and so I see that two folks are here already, and probably should have had a little bit longer of an intro because I I meant to have something else, another video play, but I'm testing out another setup for the live stream, and I'm actually in full 4K, which is kind of cool. So drop the chat, drop any questions that you have in the chat about cameras, filmmaking, lighting, whatever. I've got a couple of topics that I want to talk about today, and then hopefully with the chat we'll get some more comments, questions, and have the conversation going. But it's not going to be possible unless you go down into the chat and ask some questions. So go ahead and ask away. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm getting signal, so I'm assuming that you can hear me. Right now I am streaming on the Blackmagic Pixis 6K, and I've actually also got the Cinema Camera 6K full frame here just to show you the setup, which is kind of cool. So yeah, Morty, what is going on? Thanks for joining. And cool. Morty's here. More people jump in on the stream, and let's get this conversation going. I am bouncing between. I'll just kind of show you what I've got going on, so you can kind of see how crazy this is. So right here on this is 6K full frame. I'll kind of show you the madness that's going on for my setup. So like I said, I'm on the Pixis 6K, and that is running the SDI out, actually in 4K. And right here I have my Ultra Studio Mini 4K. I don't know if you can see it if I move out of the way. Yeah, it's right here, Ultra Studio Mini 4K, and it actually has a 12G SDI in, so I can get a 4K signal. And that is what is my primary camera right here. So I'm actually able to stream in 4K using the using OBS, which is pretty cool. And then this B camera, I've got it hooked up to Teradek Ace 750, and that is actually going into the Rodecaster video, but I'm upscaling that in 4K. So I'm actually curious to see if there's like a quality difference between this camera and this camera. So I don't know. You tell me in the comments or in the chat. And then I've got right here, I've got an Amaran 200XS, which I absolutely love this light. It's number one, it's a super accurate light, just from the standpoint of CRI, SSI, all that stuff. SSI being probably the most important score and stat to look at now with lighting, because it's kind of a benchmark against known light sources like daylight or tungsten. So that's what I'm using, and I'm actually using the new Amaran. This is their Lantern, I think 65, and this is a great. The reason why I'm actually using a Lantern, I used to use a softbox, which is kind of the general like go-to, but I found like with a room like this, and I just wanted a little bit more of an ambient lift, and it's actually bouncing off this wall back here, behind my computer screen. So it's giving me a little bit of a fill right here, and not going for a super moody vibe. But it's also on the top. It's sending some light into the ceiling and sending some light like all around. So for me, I think it just kind of gives a little bit more of an exposure lift to the overall feel of the stream. So that's what I've got going on lighting wise. It's just on a rolling stand, which is really nice. So I can kind of move it around and move it out of the way when I'm not doing a YouTube video. So that's the lighting. And then from a mic standpoint, using the SM7B, going directly into the Pixis 6K. So that's kind of what we're working with here. And then, so then I've got all that. And then I'm going into the Rodecaster video for this cam right here. And the reason why I still want to use the Rodecaster video is because I have videos, content, all that stuff loaded to it so that I can play whatever, like videos like that intro video, or if there's something else that I wanted to show. Haven't gotten that super dialed in for this workflow, but the way that I've actually got it, instead of having to like toggle it on and off in OBS, what I've done is I've actually put a filter on in OBS on the Rodecaster video to basically key out pure black. And I actually noticed on the intro video there was like one little part where you could see some like weird artifacting weirdness going on, and that was actually because there was like pure black in that video file. So yeah, oh well. But that was actually like trying to screen it out to do that. The reason why I did that is literally so I could just switch between camera angles and not have to work with it in OBS. So kind of a neat little trick or hack for that. So that's pretty cool. And I'm realizing that I don't have like everything on here. So yeah, so that's how I lit the room. And then one other thing, there is another light that I have, and it's actually behind that camera. It's like on a bookshelf. Actually, I don't know if you can see the bookshelf. There's a bookshelf like right there. And what I've got there is the Amaran Pano 120C, and that's just bouncing into the ceiling just for a little bit more of an exposure lift, just so like didn't look like too moody or anything like that. So yeah, that's what we've got going on with that. Okay, so first topic, what I want to talk about is an event coming up in the kind of middle of June called the Build Expo, put on by B&H. So
Build is back, and this year we're going big. Join us for New York City's largest gathering of photographers, content creators, and filmmakers. 2 days, over 100 expert speakers, and a gear expo featuring 250 brands, plus portfolio reviews, photo walks, event specials, and so much more. Register today. It's absolutely free. B&H presents the Build Expo, June 17th and 18th at the Javits Center in New York City.
Yeah, that was some pretty awesome live streaming right there. But Build Expo, it's coming up. I'm pretty excited about it. It is. I've never been, and actually I haven't been to New York in quite a while. But let's just go over the screen here. I have a link in the description to sign up to register. It's completely free to register. So if you're kind of thinking of going to the expo, I'd highly recommend just going ahead and register. I'm not sure if it's like so many spaces, if it's a limited thing or whatnot, but go ahead and sign up. But it's pretty cool. They're kind of like, I think they're pretty much fully fledged out, like all of the speakers and stuff. But you can see here we've got Peter Hurley, photographer. Peter McKinnon is going to be there, which I'm really excited. I'm going to definitely make sure to go see his little session. Oren Soffer, filmmaker, he was the DP behind The Creator and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm really excited to check that out. I will, like I said, I'll definitely be there, and I'm pumped. There's all kinds of stuff. It's not just speakers, but it's like there's a little exhibit hall. So kind of like a mini NAB, I would say. And if you're considering going, you should go. I'm excited. NAB is really fun to, connect with different brands. I think probably some of the brands, like if you're a content creator, it might be a good way to connect with brands. But my guess is there'll be probably more salespeople than marketing people. I don't know. That's just my guess, since it's a smaller event. But hopefully it gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year. But I've been seeing a lot of creators here on this platform, kind of in the filmmaking space. Started posting that they're going and all that. So I'm pretty excited. That's was probably the most fun part of NAB, was just to connect with other creators and other brands, but just other filmmakers and creators here on this platform. It's just a really cool way to connect, and it's kind of like a no pressure situation. You bump into a bunch of people and hang out, and they've got all kinds of events that are coming up, at Build. There'll be like photo walks and all that stuff. So I'm pretty excited. If you're there, definitely say hello, and I'll be kind of walking around with a couple folks, some of the folks that was at NAB with. I know Josh Satin should be there, and Jason Herman, and I think Brandon Talbot's going to be there as well. So that should be a super good time. So I'm really excited. Like I said, there's going to be a bunch of stuff going on during that, different photo walks. And I think I saw somewhere that there's going to be a small presentation, I think at the Kodak booth or something having to do with Kodak. And it'll be Ed Lockman giving a little presentation or some kind of demonstration. And if you're not familiar with Ed Lockman, he is really the brains behind the kind of the newest exposure method or exposure tool called the EL Zone. And that's found, I think it's only on small HD monitors right now, but that's something to that's something else someone else I'd be really excited to see up there. So a lot of really cool big names, and I know some folks over at B&H are really excited about it, and I am too. I think it's going to be a good time, and we'll see. I mean, maybe that'll be hopefully that'll be like the new NAB for a lot of folks. And I feel like with NAB, it was like this year, it felt like there was like a big, and last year too, but I feel like every year since I've been going for the last 4 years or whatever, each year there have been more and more filmmakers, and it feels less broadcast focused and more of like the filmmaker and content creator space, which is really cool. And it's really big, but that's why I'm excited for Build. So register with the link in the description. And it's, like I said, it's free, and there should be all kinds of stuff to view. There's going to be all kinds of brands and stuff there. Like there'll be booths, like Aperture, Blackmagic, and all them. I think they'll have a booth. So anyways, that's pretty much that. In other news, let me flip back over to the screen capture. I definitely do not have my command center set up properly for this, but this is interesting news. Where is my mouse? Okay, here we go. This is interesting news. I just saw it on the C47's channel, Gem, and I thought this was really interesting. So the Friedman Group, Friedman Electronics, acquires Electrosonics. And if you're not familiar with the Friedman Group, They own probably the biggest brand probably is their biggest brand is Rode microphones. So I think this is an interesting move by Rode. I mean, acquisitions happen quite frequently. We saw that with Red being acquired by Nikon last year, and I think this is interesting. I don't know if that's going to change anything. I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously this is a big move for Freedom Electronics. Also on other groups, I know Mackie is one of them. Mackie, if it's the Mackie that I'm thinking of, they have like a lot of like live music type stuff, like big speakers and mixers and stuff like that. And then a couple other brands that I'm not sure I've ever heard of, called Soundfield and Event Electronics. So I'm not really sure what that means for us. But Electrosonics, if you're not familiar with Electrosonics, they are kind of the premium brand when it comes to wireless microphones. They're like the Ari of wireless microphones. So if you see a Soundy with a Electrosonics kit, they've probably know what they're doing, because they're very expensive. So if somebody's showing up with some Electrosonics, it means they've probably been doing this long enough where they've made some money to invest in that kit. And yeah, they're really good. I've used them a handful of times. I'm not that familiar with them, but they are kind of like the creme de la creme when it comes to microphone systems, wireless microphone systems for like labs and stuff. So be interesting to see what comes of that. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully, I don't know that I'm going to do any more screen sharing, because I keep messing this up. But Woofle, what's up? Thanks for joining. Y'all just remember to leave comments or join the chat so I can answer any questions or anything like that. If it's just me rambling on, then this live stream will be very short, because I'm not good at just coming up with stuff on the fly. So but yeah, so kind of covered build. We've got, like I said, this setup here, and this is pretty cool. I'm actually using, I think I mentioned before, I'm using the Teradek Ace 750 to stream from the camera to the Rodecaster video, and I am a huge fan of that system. I actually just made a video on the Teradek, and really the technology behind the way that Teradek does their transmission versus I used Axoon CineView Master 4K in this example, because I feel like these two are priced pretty similarly and have pretty similar features. But yeah, I it was kind of a techie video. It was probably the most technical video I've ever done, but it's really interesting. I did a bunch of research. It's really interesting to see the difference in how they are transmitting video. So it's really cool. One thing I guess I forgot to mention that in the video, which I'll mention here, is there is a huge advantage of the Wi-Fi based systems, the packet based, which is what like Axoon, Holly, and a lot of them use, and that's the fact that you can use an app to, like, use your phone or tablet or something to monitor. But otherwise, that's pretty much the only advantage that I really see with those units. I mean, I guess price is another one for that, but the Teradek Ace 750 is like less than $1,000 right now, and you get 4K transmission. It's HDMI only, but I think a lot of cameras out there. I think it's a really good solution for that, like an FX3, or even if you're running a monitor with an HDMI pass through. That's a great way to use that. So yeah, it's pretty crazy how much better that the Teradek is than the like Axoon and the Hollyland. And it like, you read a lot of marketing material and you're like, oh, it's, zero delay, blah, 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 or it's whatever, like, and you see the price tag and you're like, that sounds like snake oil to me. But after doing my testing, and I'll like go check out the video, there's chapter markers in it. So it'd have been smart if I put the link to that video in the description, but it's on my channel. I was actually very surprised at how much better the Teradek was. And this is just the Teradek Ace, the 750, which is priced around the same price point as the Axoon. Axoon has other things like SDI, which is cool. But if you're just needing HDMI, then I think it's kind of a no-brainer to go with the 750. And it's weird that like nobody has talked, like there's really there's very little content on the Ace 750. So I'll make a dedicated video probably on the Ace 750 at some point. And then I also have the Bolt 6 system that Teradek actually sent out to me for this video, and not this live stream, but the video I just made, and then also like a dedicated video. But that one's cool too. But I think the 750 is just kind of this sleeper transmission system that I feel like isn't talked about enough, and I feel like if people knew about it more, they would be more likely to buy something like that as opposed to the Axoons and stuff. And yeah, so Jeff, what's up, man? It's good to see you, Jeff. Jeff, you're also coming to New York as well, right? For build. See, I miss using Teradek. I feel like I moved to third-party transmitters in 2020, but always loved Teradek. Yeah, and great. This is a great point. Teradek is more trusted on set compared to newer brands, and that's totally true. And it's not even that it's like it's more trusted for a reason. I'm not going to pretend that Teradek hasn't had issues in the past. Like I've had issues with older Teradeks in the past of dropouts and all that, and that was on their like older system that it was like either the previous generation or even maybe like the version beforehand. But I feel like with the Bolt 6 series, they're much more, they're like super reliable, like really, really reliable. And like I've not had any issues or dropouts or anything like that on either the Ace or my Bolt 6 system. And the Ace and Bolt 6 use the same chipset, everything's exactly the same except for the housing and it being HDMI, and then the like power input is not a LEMO connection on the Ace. But otherwise, like they're the same thing, which is kind of cool. You can kind of get like the more expensive Bolt system for your main setup, but then if you need a second Ace for whatever, you can do that. And I haven't tested it, but I know with like the Ace, you can compare to like I think up to 6 receivers, one transmitter to 6 receivers. So I'm actually going to test it to see if my Bolt 6 can send off to my Bolt 6 monitor module and the Ace 750 receiver, because that would be another really handy thing to do. So you could send a feed to two different monitors at once. So you can send one to a client feed and one to a first AC, and the first AC can use whatever tools that they want to for pull and focus. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's I've been on a number of sets where first AC just brings their own Teradek setup if there's something else on set, because that's just what they use and what they trust. And yeah, cool. So I just got an FX6. This is my first Sony camera coming from Blackmagic and Fuji. So overwhelmed with understanding S-Log3 and Cine EI. Yeah, I don't know Cine EI all that well. I used it I had the FX3. I've owned the FX3 a couple of times, and I think I had it to Cine EI, or I can't even remember, but there are a lot of great videos out there that discuss it, but I just kind of stick to the base ISO and just expose like how I do most other cameras. I know there's probably better ways of doing it, but I'm like you. I knew the FX3 that I had wasn't going to be a long-term camera, so for me, so I didn't really put that much attention to it. But I'm pretty sure, I'm not positive, but I'm certain that Josh Satin has some sort of video on Cine EI. Jeff, you may as well. I know you've had the FX30 for a long time. So, yeah, go check out them. I know Robert Machado, I think he has a video discussing it as well. But, yeah, so, okay, cool. Yeah, Jeff, you are going to be here. Sweet. Or there. I'm not in New York. But, all right, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry, Logan, that I don't really have a better answer for you because I don't really know that. And it's funny, I'm on the Pixis 6K right now, and like I pretty much started my career on Blackmagic cameras, and I think a lot of people have. I mean, they've done a very good job of being the brand for a lot of folks getting into it because of the price point and like the image quality you get with it and all the features and stuff you get with it. And then at one point I had the Ursa Mini Pro G2, the Pocket 4K, the Pocket 6K Pro. I had the Pocket 4K at one point, and the Pocket 6K. I think at one point I had all those cameras. Those are like my cameras that I was using. And then I was doing a lot more travel at the time, and I was doing a lot of work in the the tactical industry. A couple of my clients were in that world, so the global shutter was actually pretty much the biggest reason why I moved from the Blackmagic systems to the Red, and also like it packs down super small. The Komodo and the Komodo X packs down really small, so that was also really handy because I could pack more camera bodies in my Pelican case on my carry-on, and that's really important because you don't want to check cameras, so that's a good way for them to get lost. But now I'm starting to move away from move back to Blackmagic. I think I've always had a Blackmagic camera. Yes, I've always owned a Blackmagic camera, and I've always owned a Canon camera as well for stills. And yeah, it's I've always loved the Blackmagic image, and I've always liked it better than the Red image. The Red image is great, and you can actually get them to match pretty quickly, but for some reason it's just something about the Blackmagic image that I've always preferred over any other camera system out there. It's not that it's inherent, it's not like it's objectively better. It's just different, and that's something I just really like about them. And now with the Pixis 6K body style, that is now like my new favorite body style of all cameras. It's like the perfect, especially with the little monitor here that I've got right here. You can see, this monitor right here. This is the Pixis monitor, and I absolutely love this monitor with the Pixis 6K. And now I'm even more excited because the Pixis 12K was announced at NAB, and that is going to be probably my new A cam. As much as I want the Ursa Cine 12K, which still may happen. I'm hoping to get a loaner at some point to test it out, make some content on, and maybe shoot a project or two on. But the Pixis 12K really seems like the perfect camera for me, especially when you're in 8K or 4K. That rolling shutter, the sensor readout speed is basically the same, more or less, as the Red V Raptor not the X, but like their first V Raptor, which had an extremely fast readout speed. I think the V Raptor is like 8 milliseconds or 9 milliseconds, and the Pixis 12K is 8 milliseconds. And so for me, that's kind of getting like closer to Ursa Mini Pro G2 territory, but in a much small, from a rolling shutter standpoint. And the Ursa G2 was faster, but for most scenarios, like 8 or 10 milliseconds is like perfectly fine for pretty much everything. And so like that's like the perfect situation, because the Pixis body is already built really well, but then the Excelsius Designs cage that I have on the Pixis 6K is like even more protection. It gives you all these mounting points, and it's like set up perfectly for, if I need to strip it down for travel. Like the way I've got it built out is really easy to tear down or build up pretty quickly, which is important for, run and gun type stuff. So anyways, I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah. That was a long tangent. So I like Teradek for live events and live streaming because of its uncompressed transmission. That's why it looks better than everything else. Yeah, I totally agree. That's, I really encourage those of you watching to check out my latest video. It's called Wi-Fi versus Zero Delay Wireless Video. Maybe that title will change. I don't know. It's not performing super well as a video, but that doesn't surprise me, just because it's kind of a niche topic, and it's not about cameras, which is what everybody wants to watch. But I do cover that, the uncompressed video versus how the compression with the Wi-Fi, the packet-based systems do, and there is a massive difference, like even between like the Axon that's supposed to be transmitting 4K up to 60 frames per second. If you see that, like you'll see immediately how much degradation of quality there is. And I go over like why there's a degradation of quality, and there's a handy chart that Teradek put together. And there's actually a pretty cool write-up there that I'm pretty sure I linked the blog in my video. If not, I need to add that in. But they had this whole workshop and this blog, and it kind of talks about how Teradek is sending uncompressed video, whereas the other ones like Axu and Hollyland, all those are sending out a compressed video, and that's why Teradek looks way better. And that's important for, like, obviously it's important for, director monitor, client monitor, and it's not just image quality, but it's like a color shift as well. And that's something that, like, if you're doing a shoot where, like, it's like a beauty campaign, or like something having to do like in the beauty industry, like makeup or whatever, like you don't want shifted skin tones, or if there's a, like, we're just on a shoot and like there was like art and stuff all around and like specific colors and stuff, or if like a brand has, you're doing a commercial and a brand has a specific color that you're trying to get in camera, and you send off this compressed video and there's a color shift to it, the client's gonna be like, why does my brand color look different? Like, it looks bad on the camera, like it looks normal here, bad on the camera. There's just like conversations like that that's just like unnecessary to have. So yeah, I appreciate your comment, and I totally agree with you. So as I've been working solo jobs, I can benefit from autofocus, why I'm giving it a shot. Getting a good clean exposure is so much more intuitive. Yeah, autofocus is obviously very important for some types of work, and I think even Blackmagic noticed that, and they've put in a beta autofocus on the cinema camera 6K full frame, the L mount only. Still in beta. I don't have any L mount lenses to test it on, but maybe I'll try to get a loaner to excuse me, still getting over a cold. Still gonna to see if it works. I know Jeff did an initial test on it, and I think in some scenarios it looked like it was working really good. In some in some tests, I think, that I've seen on other videos, that it still needs a lot of work. But, you know, first pro camera was the HVX 200 in 2008. Going back. But your first pro interchangeable lens camera was the OG BM Pocket in 2013. Crazy how far we've come. Crazy how I started with Panic for so long, but haven't had Panasonic since 2018. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Yeah, talk about OG right here. This is the OG 2.5K cinema camera. I had the OG Pocket as well, and I really, really miss that camera. But this is like the coolest camera design. Like, it got a lot of hate when it was first announced, and people were like, oh, what's going on with it? But, like, I think the only thing about this camera that was, like, the biggest negative from a design perspective was the built-in battery. But otherwise, I love this camera. It's, like, so nostalgic, too. Like, and it just looks cool. And the image is gosh, it's amazing. I miss the old Pocket. I love that camera. It was like the perfect travel camera. And I remember Matthew O'Brien, he was staying with us, the Airbnb at NAB, and he had his OG Pocket, and I was like immediately like, oh gosh, I was like, if you ever sell it, don't tell it without telling me, because I want to buy it from you. Oh, that's hilarious. You found my channel back when I was doing BM Pocket content. Oh, awesome. Well, and now we're homies. See, this is so awesome. This is why I love YouTube. Can I go through my live stream setup? I did that already, but you know what? I'll do it again, and I'll try to be a little bit more concise with it here. So, real quick, I'm in OBS. I'm using OBS because I want it 4K. So, first up, we have the Pixis 6K right here. And that is let me make sure that I got on the right screen. Yeah, there we go. I got the Pixis 6K is my A camera, and I'm running the SM7B directly into it. It's just the simplest thing for me. And I've got it going through a cloud lifter to give me phantom power. Pixis 6K is plugged into mains power. And then, so that's that. That's running SDI out directly into the Ultra Studio Mini 4K, which is over here. And it's really cool. I didn't realize I could do this, but the Ultra Studio Mini 4K can actually stream or take the input and do an output at the same time, which I didn't realize you could do. So my Ultra Studio Mini 4K is normally my reference monitor, and that's what you can see right here. But I can actually take the input and actually still use it as a webcam at the same time, which is really cool. I didn't realize you could do that. So it looks really clean, and it's in 4K, and so that's why I'm using OBS to stream in 4K, which is pretty cool. So that's the A camera. That's just directly basically into OBS through the Ultra Studio Mini 4K. So that's awesome. And then I've also got this B camera, which is connected to the Teradek A750 actually, and that is over HDMI. You can actually see the receiver right there, plugged into this cable right here. It's just on top of my R5 Mark II, which is the camera I typically use for my YouTube stuff, just because of autofocus, and I don't need to shoot in 6K RAW for my YouTube videos, even though I used to do that on the Komodo X, which is, anyways, I don't keep that footage. So, but that is running into the Rodecaster Video, and the Rodecaster Video is set up as another source on the in OBS. And how I'm able to switch between the two super easily is basically what I've done is I've set up the Rodecaster Video, a filter in the Rodecaster Video to basically key out pure black. So this, I've got a scene is just, the scene is no inputs. And so therefore it is, oh, my stream says I'm not getting enough signal. Hopefully you can still see me. Yeah, so I've got that. It's basically screening out. So it's basically like a screen filter on opacity and resolve, if you can think of it that way. So that's why I'm able to use that. But I like using the Rodecaster Video, and I've actually, since it's only 1080p, I've actually just like, I'm upscaling it in OBS. And I like that because I can just, you play videos and whatnot. And so that's kind of that. And then from a lights perspective, I'm using the Amaran 200 XS in the new Amaran Lantern 65, and that sorry, you can probably hear my kiddo screaming. And I'm using the lantern. It gives me a nice key, but also adds just more exposure to the room. And then the last thing I'm doing is I've got a little Amaran light, the Pano 120C behind me, or behind, I guess that little bookshelf behind me, and it's just bouncing into the ceiling for a little bit more of an exposure lift. And I think that's pretty much it, right? Yeah. So let's see here. All right, so Jeff says the autofocus beta is decent, but it's not ready for prime time. Yeah, I totally agree. Based on what I've been seeing, and I think it, if there's any company that, that's not Canon or Sony, I think Blackmagic has the best opportunity to catch up really quickly because they're a software company. So, the fact that they were just able to take an older camera and be like, oh, I think we can put autofocus in it, just like do it. That's pretty cool. And I feel like since they are a software company, they DaVinci Resolve and Fairlight and Fusion and all that, like they've got some very intelligent people that work there. And I mean, Grant, that is their CEO, is an exceptionally intelligent person. I got to chat with him at NAB, and it was like the coolest thing ever. Dude is just an absolute genius. So I really think that Blackmagic, if there's anybody, I think they could crack the code. So we'll see. Yeah. So mine with a few people made the videos, internal battery. Whoa, never seen that happen. That's intense. Okay, good. Yeah, no problem. Very clean audio and video quality. Thanks. That's what I like to hear. What else? There's something else that I want to talk about on the stream. This shot right here. This is for a client of mine. This is actually like all talent right here, which is kind of cool. But this is a shot on the Pixis 6K. When I tell you, like I'm grabbing this camera more than my Komodo X, like I'm not lying. Like I absolutely love the Pixis 6K, the form factor, and just being able to shoot open gate. And there's just, I guess technically the Komodo X shoots open gate too, because it's a 17:9 sensor natively, but being able to shoot in 3x2 is super cool for reframing. This is actually interesting. Like I had this thought a while ago about like, why are cameras not just square sensors now? Especially like, with I could see like, some camera brands, like maybe it's a readout speed thing. Maybe, they've probably already done the research, but 3x2 is great, but like, why not a 3x3 sensor, or basically a 1x1 sensor in a square, and then you just like use that and frame it exactly how you want. That, I wonder if that'll ever happen. Like, I wonder if sensors can get like good enough to be able to do that. That'd be super interesting. Y'all, sorry, I'm just like super chill. I feel like I'm a pretty chill person, but like in general, but I'm getting off of a cold, and like you see, I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to live stream today, but I guess it's because I've been so busy, and next week is going to be busy as well, and got a lot of travel and stuff coming up. So Um, Patrick, hello from Belgium. That's awesome. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you stopping by. Let me know if you have questions in the chat. Anybody, not just Patrick, but anybody. If you have questions in the chat about cameras, filmmaking, lighting, whatever, let me know. When are we? When are we selling Reds? I'm telling you, man, I'm pretty close to offloading my Komodo X. I love that camera. It's a great camera, but it's just not I don't know. But that said, like, I still use it for live production stuff. There's a church that is in Mount Pleasant, the church that I attend when we can actually get there with kids, sickness, and all that stuff. But they do a lot of live album recordings and stuff, and we all use Reds. They have Reds in their main worship center. So when I go on to one of the bigger things for like a live album record or whatever, I just bring my Red, and they're using tear decks as well. So I have my tear deck as well, and it's like, I don't know. So like I'm not at a crossroads, but I really just want to sell it to fund a Pixis 12K because I really, really, really want that camera. But and that'll kind of replace the Pixis 6K as my A cam. But I don't know, man. You know me. Or I'm not as bad as Josh at selling cameras though. Never selling my Reds has better image quality than Blackmagic, especially for live streaming darker skin tones. Yeah, so like between the Pixis 6K and the Komodo X, which I've compared directly, for low light, absolutely the Red is so much better in low light than the Pixis, because the shadows on the Pixis are pretty noisy. I'm really interested to compare either the Ursa Cine 12K or the Pixis 12K to the Komodo X, because if you look at some of the footage, like the footage you can download from the Blackmagic website from the 12K and even the 17K, the shadows are insanely clean, and you've got so much more latitude, so that's gonna just inherently help with noise and all that. So we'll see. I'm excited to see if the 12K is as clean as the Komodo X, then I would have very, very, very few reasons to keep the Komodo X. So, but I wouldn't say like objectively Red has better image quality than Blackmagic. It's just different. But some situations, I think the Reds are a better tool for the job, just like Sony is a better tool than Blackmagic for some jobs, especially when like autofocus is needed, or like you need to, like, you have no lights and you're filming in the middle of the night or something. Oh yeah. All right, I hope you feel better too, or you already feel better. Good. Definitely getting the Pixis 12Ks and A cam. Yep, for sure. Yeah, my thing was like getting rid of one of all set all the time, but then yeah, it just, needs change and productions change, and it's just how it just depends. Well, so we'll see. Yeah, colors and LED walls look better too, more natural. Yeah, and like I found like the Komodo X, like the global shutter, I feel like definitely has an advantage when it comes to some LED walls. It's not in all cases, but usually cameras with bad rolling shutter with some LED walls, I found you can get some like weird things going on and all that. But with the global shutter, all you have to really do is change your shutter angle, and that usually fixes things, depending on the LED wall. So you compare the BM12K LF to the V Raptor on a shoot. Yeah, drop it. Definitely drop it. And when you do, shoot me a message on Instagram or something when you do with that comparison, or if you don't make it public, maybe just send it to me, an unlisted video. I'd love to see the comparison. I don't have a V Raptor at my disposal to test against a 12K LF, either the Pixis 12K or the Ursa Cine, but I don't have any three of those cameras compared to each other. But at some point, hopefully I will have one of the 12K cameras, and most likely will be the Pixis 12K, because I think that's going to be like the cam that I will live with for quite a few years. The BM is really pretty. Yeah, I'm really excited to get my hands on one to test out. That it's just crazy that sensor technology, and just being able to not have to crop in on the sensor. And I've used the Ursa Mini Pro 12K, the one that came out before the OLPF version. So just like the first Ursa Mini, the Super 35 one. And I love that. I mean, the camera is awesome. It's just even that camera, the image looks amazing, first of all. But just being able to utilize the full sensor height and width without having to crop in when you change resolutions like you have to on red cameras and older Blackmagic cameras is really cool. It's really, really crazy. I know if you've heard of there's a channel called Team 2 Films, Team the number 2 and then Films, and they have a really, really good video on the RGBW sensor. That kind of goes into like some of the tech, and it's way better than I can explain it. BM cameras don't look aesthetically appealing to me. I'm sure they're fine, but I won't be getting any. Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's funny. Like, I remember a few years ago they won like an international design award for one of their cameras. I think it might have been the Ursa Mini Pro G2. I think maybe it was that camera. I can't remember, but it's just funny how, I mean, everyone's needs are different, and that's fine. I mean, I have the red Komodo X, the Stormtrooper, and talk about the least aesthetically pleasing camera ever, a white camera. I think it looks so dumb. That was like the biggest regret of getting that camera is the white camera. I think it looks so stupid, but I still use it. At the end of the day, like, my clients aren't looking at, how the camera it was shot on looks. They want to know what the final product looks like. So if they're stoked on that, then that's fine. But I totally get it, man. You don't want to, you don't want to be spending money on a camera you're not stoked on. There's no reason to do that. Yeah. So let's say, one other thing I wanted to talk about is lighting. So, just went to NAB and stopped by the Aperture booth. Aperture's like my favorite lighting company. I've invested thousands and thousands of dollars on the Aperture lights, and they've partnered with me too on some channel or some videos in the past. But I am super excited that in the direction that they're going with their new light engine, and it's their Blair light engine, the Blair CG light engine. So their 1200X, which is the only Blair type light that I have right now. I'm hoping to get some more in the future, some of the smaller ones, but it is crazy how good that light looks on skin tones. Like, you can actually tell a major difference between that and like a traditional LED light. And I'm really excited in the direction that they're going. They started off with bigger fixtures, their 1200X and then their 1000C, and then so they got like the really big fixtures, and then they came out with the 80C, which is a tiny little light that shares the same Blair CG engine. And Blair CG, try to remember off the top of my head, blue, lime, amber, indigo, red, and then cyan and green. I think those are the right ones. And then the Blair, like the 1200X, just doesn't have the cyan and the green. But really, it's kind of funny how they came out with like the really big lights and the really small lights, and then all of a sudden, like there's like this like, you know, the 300 to 600 watt or number range is kind of missing in their lineup. I'm sure it's coming. Like I've even seen like on their Aperture user group on Facebook, like I've seen hints dropped at like, yeah, probably that's coming sometime. I don't know if it's this year or next year or whatever, but yeah, I'm really excited. I hopefully it's sooner than later, because that the 1200X could then kind of either be like the key light for like if I'm doing a big book light off like an 8x or something. But otherwise, like what I usually like to use those bigger lights for is like pushing light through windows and stuff, and that's really cool. I don't know, just kind of rambling here like I always do. And then but now at NAB they announced a 3-light kit for the Storm ADC, and that actually caught my attention because it comes with like the Fresnel and a handful of other things, some clamps, and I think the Bowens mount, or the Bowens adapter and stuff. And that's like that kit. I think it's like in the case, like the same case as, I think it's the same case as the, actually I know it's the same case as the Nova P300C, because I asked Brandon at NAB, I was like, this looks like the Nova case. That is the Nova case. Good eye. Just a different cutout, obviously, for the foam. But those lights are like the icing on the cake. Like that's like where you can start like really painting in a lot of nice little textures and stuff in a scene. And, you know, with those lights being super accurate, like if you're trying, like think of like artwork or something where you want to make sure that, you know, if there's artwork in the background and, you know, maybe you're doing a project, a doc on an artist, like you want to make sure that art is being represented as accurately as possible. That's where the Storm ADCs would be like perfect for. Or even like, I mean, those lights are so small, there's like a perfect travel thing. Or like, you know, if you're doing an interview where you're not battling window light or anything like that, then like I would rather just bring the 3-light kit with me and have all my lights in one case, and then 3 stands, and then throw one in a softbox, and then you've got, you know, your 3-point lighting kit right there. So I've got my eyes on the ADC, and then hopefully between the 1200X and ADC 3-light kit, and then hopefully there will be like a 300 or like a 600 or, you know, somewhere in there to kind of be like the new main key light for, I think like that would be like the greatest setup. If that came out, I'd probably buy like 2 of those. And then I still have like the 600C Pro 2, which is a fantastic light. That was one that they sent out to me for some content, and that's a light that I really like, and I used it on a recent shoot. And I'm sorry guys, I'm like, I don't know why I still feel pretty sick. That light was great. I used it on a recent shoot. Used a 1200X as the key light because it was like a masterclass thing, but it was for like kind of like in the like beauty space, I guess, or I don't know how to explain it. Blaze, if you're watching, you know what I mean. But 1200X, I chose that as the key light. I was hired on as the gaffer, and I just recommended the 1200X for the best looking skin tones possible. And then used 600C Pro 2 with the spotlight mount, and that was like the texture thing, and with a little gobo in it. Looks so good. Looks so stinking good. Oh yeah, got a lot of comments coming in. Yeah, Storm tried to get a skin immediately. Yep. Yeah, I should have done that, but whatever. Image is king. Price is right next to it. Beam is credible for a change in the game. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Uh-oh. My It was your. Totally. Yeah. Several ADCs going to get 1000Cs next. Great lights. Yeah. At NAB, they did this like contest where they had like these red C47 aperture branded C47 clips, and you had to like go, get it on, clip it onto somebody that like either a staff member or like an ambassador or something without them seeing it, and then get it on film. And it was a whole thing, and you could like collect their basically like a little bingo card, and if you caught enough points, then you get a light. And Peter Mockery, I can never remember how to pronounce his last name. He won the 1000C, and I was like, oh, whatever. But I didn't win anything. I almost won the 3-light kit, the Storm ADC 3-light kit, but somebody won it like right before me, so I was like, whatever. Yeah, the 1000C looks sweet, but for me, I thought the 1200X for most use cases was more ideal for the little extra output that you'd get. And for most scenarios, like I don't need like the crazy saturation that you can get with the 1000C, but with the ADCs, I think that's a little bit of a different story. So I'm getting that Area 60 Pro mainly because of their softbox choices. I wish Aperture Novas had big softbox attachments. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the DOP choice, and I think Chimera have options for the Novas that you can basically use. It's like their Rabbit Ear system, and I can't remember which is which. They like what the terms are for each company, but they have something similar that you can get a pretty big softbox for the P300C, and I think even the P600C as well. So definitely look into those. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're also not cheaply made. And I mean, we're talking about Ari here as well. So I mean, something to consider. I'm not saying Ari lights are bad. They're certainly really, really good. But if that's the one thing, their softbox choices, then maybe check out Chimera or DOP Choice. And I think DOP Choice is out of Germany, but if they have I think their US brand is like TRP Worldwide, I think. Because I remember buying, I'm pretty sure the Magic Cloth that I bought, 6x Magic Cloth, and I think it's like TRP Worldwide, but I think that's like the US brand of DOP Choice. So, yeah. Yeah, cool. Let's see here. Just finished a short documentary, 12 minutes, which is a blueprint of a larger 30-minute, 1-hour passion project. The dream would be to have it on stream and have episodes. I honestly, if you're in my shoes, what's next? I don't know. I've never done something like that to work with a company to have it streamed. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I don't know. I guess my next step would just be start researching on who to connect with at Amazon or Hulu or Netflix or whoever you're wanting to stream it with, and pitch it to them. I mean, I don't know. I've seen some people like put stuff on Amazon, indie films and stuff, but I have no idea what the process is there. So I'm sorry. I wish I could help you, but that is not the world that I live in for sure. This is super weird. I have this little like chat thingy, and now I can't like scroll up and down, so I don't even know if I'm like at the last chat or not. Okay. 1 second. I need to check something real quick. Okay, cool. Sorry. I got some client emails coming through, and I need to make sure I didn't need to end the stream to put out any fires or anything like that. Filming gear isn't a cheap hobby, but it's still not as expensive as collecting watches. Yeah, this was like a hobby of mine before I turned it into my full-time job. And like my full-time job is like I'm a freelance, like I run my own small production company and like have, retainer clients and stuff. And like it was a hobby of mine. I used to work at this company called Boeing. They make airplanes. They're like kind of like Airbus. And I hated that job. And then my wife was like, you should quit. And I was like, well, what do I do? And she's like, well, you're good at making videos. And I was like, ugh. And I did one video for one for my church, and then one for a YouTuber actually that lives in North Carolina. And one of them was paid, one was unpaid. And when I like got the check in, I was like, oh, this is super cool. I didn't like, you like actually make money from this. And then I was like, okay, I think I can do this. So I quit cold turkey and turned my hobby into my living, and I love it. And I would not have it any other way. I love every aspect of it. And let me back up. I love every aspect of like filmmaking and editing and all that, but I really, really do not enjoy some of the freelance side of things, mainly taxes and bookkeeping and all that. Like I can do it, but God, I really do not like doing that part, and especially taxes. Like, golly, it's the worst. It's the absolute worst. But that's why I have accountants. They make it a little easier for you, as easiest as possible. But yeah, it is definitely not a cheap hobby. Yeah. Same with pretty much any hobby. My gosh. Like I was just like looking into like getting into playing golf. My father-in-law and some buddies of mine, and then my wife's parents are remarried, and her mom's husband also plays, and I'm like, oh, I just want like something to do, like, to bond. And I'm like, dang, this is another expensive thing. So I don't even know if I'm going to get into that just because of the cost barrier. It's like, yeah, it's crazy stuff. Well, this has been fun, y'all. Y'all need to keep the chat going. The best hobby is making money. It is a good hobby. Honestly, like, since having kids, I've kind of put hobbies kind of on the back burner, and like my new hobby really is just like spending as much time with my kids and family as possible. It's just crazy how perspective changes, and like obviously like I still work super hard and like take my client work super seriously, but like I feel like after my sister passed away last year and some other things, like just my perspective has totally shifted, that like it's just like work is important to like pay bills, and it's it's great if you can find something that you love doing and you're passionate about, but like at the end of the day, like if I found like a cool job or an experience to go on with my family, like I'm gonna take that experience with my family, because that's something that you can never get back. And you may have an opportunity to work on another cool job, but you may not have the opportunity to experience that. Yeah, anyways, Kevin on stage used to work on Boeing too. He said he hated it too. I was in finance, so like it wasn't. I didn't have like a super exciting job. I was like managing budgets and stuff, but Boeing making planes and maintaining them. Yeah, I didn't like work on the planes. I lived in Excel. That's all I did. So it was like super boring. Maybe become a pilot next. I would actually like when I went through my my Part 107, like the training, like the practice test, and then did the exam and stuff. I actually found it so fascinating, and I think after I took the test and they like scored it right there, I missed one question. It was like some weather related question, I think, and it was like at a pilot, like an instructor school where you take the test. I took it in Colorado, and the instructor was like, "You finished this super quick, and you finished it like you scored really well. Have you considered like doing your pilot's training?" I'm like, "Yeah, it'd be sick, but I don't have the money to do that." But I always thought it'd be really cool to get a pilot's license. I remember my grandfather had his pilot's license, and he would just like rent a plane and flying. He like flew his family down to like Disney, and I was like that'd be so cool to just like do that. But that also sounds like really expensive. So spreadsheets is a guilty pleasure of mine. Dude, more power to you. I was super good in Excel, but I just like it's really cool for when you need it, but it's bringing back terrible memories. It was cool having like vacation time and stuff though, and sick time, and I could just like, just like be gone. I don't have to worry about it until I got back. But you can't do that with freelance running your own company. It's just once you're on vacation, you're kind of still like not on vacation. I mean, to an extent, like I've got really cool clients, and if I tell them I'm out of town, they like don't bother me, which is like the coolest thing ever. But not all clients are like that. I've had clients that are been on vacation and they're like, "Hey, can I get this?" or blah blah blah. It's whatever. I still love what I do, even though I don't sound stoked on it right now, just because I feel sick. But any big projects on the horizon? Yeah, I've got a couple. I've got a couple that are coming up that I'm pretty excited. I can't really talk about them, really, because they're not fully fleshed out. And yeah, I got some interesting things coming up. I've got one job that's not like a big job, but it's decent money, but it's a pretty big client here in Charleston, South Carolina, which is where I'm from and where I'm living. And so I'm excited for that, just kind of get my foot in the door with them. So yeah. Speaking of family, have you ever thought of starting YouTube with your kid? My kid wants his own YouTube channel. What are your thoughts on that? I try to honestly keep my family and personal life like outside of YouTube. Number one, I think there's just like a lot of weird people out there on the internet, and I just don't want my kid just broadcast on YouTube. Honestly, there's just like some weirdos out there. And like even like I had some of my older videos, I think they're actually unlisted now. I had my wife on some of my videos, and I just got like really weird, creepy comments on my channel, like about my wife. And I don't know, I just like not, I don't know, it made her feel uncomfortable, and I like that part of the thing I just really don't have an interest in doing. I know a lot of people do it, but for me, I just like prefer to not. Basically, the easiest way to put it for me. Did you look at new 7 artists in Cityland? No, I didn't. I actually had like less. I feel like I went to way less booths this year than I did last year, but that was really because like I wanted to like spend more time at the booth, like seeing the different products. And Seven Artisans like really like wasn't on my radar to begin with, and there like some brands like even like DZO, like I wanted to go to their booth, but I think I even went there, but I was like distracted with something else, or there were a bunch of booths I wish I went to, but Seven Artisans wasn't one of them. Not that I like have anything against them, I just like they weren't really on my radar. But yeah, it looks like they got a pretty big lineup of cinema lenses, so I'll be interested to try them out. I was more interested in the Blazar booth with their new Mantis lenses. Those look super cool. And then Nisi, they had some new primes. I can't remember what they're called. I feel like all these like prime now, these cinema lenses all start with an A, and I can't remember which one's which. But no, I honestly spent most of my time over at the Blackmagic booth because like that was probably the thing I was most excited about at the show was the Pixis 12K. And so just kind of getting some hands on with that camera, and actually went to the back and got to like see like their Apple Vision Pro. They had a little station in like the press booth area, and they had a Ursa Cine immersive footage, and you could actually like watch it and on the Apple Vision Pro, and that was super cool. That was like probably the coolest like Apple Vision Pro experience that I've had. So yeah. So to answer your question, Patrick, no, I did not check them out. But yeah. Well, I feel like my voice is like literally about to like go out on me. So I think I might try to wrap up this stream and try to go have some tea or something and start feeling alive so I can spend some time with the kiddos and the family this afternoon and finish out some client work. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. Appreciate everybody hanging out and getting the chat going. I appreciate it. If you've missed the kind of the beginning, definitely go. I'm going to be at Build later this year, which is the expo at B&H puts on. It's going to be at the Javits Center in New York City. Which actually is pretty close, I think, relatively to the B&H store. So I'm going to be there, and I know some other creators are going to be there, and filmmakers are going to be there as well. So there's a link in the description to sign up if you'd be so interested. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for hanging out, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.